Hello, math students. Welcome back to our module on percents and proportional relationships. And this lesson is lesson 4, and it is called percent. Our goal for today is we will work with percents. Okay, we are working in a module where the entire thing is based on percents and then comparing them and working with them with proportional relationships. So our goal for today we will work with percents. The question that I want you to think about in this lesson is, how do you convert a fraction to a decimal and to a percent, which is a 7th grade standard that you know how to do, or that you have to know how to do. So if you don't know how to do it, then we're going to spend some time learning. All right, so things to remember. Percent, when you see the word percent, it literally means every 100. And the reason why we know this is because the word per means every or something compared to it, and then cent is the meaning of 100 because there are 100 cents in $1, so it's per cent, so per 100. So percent literally means every 100. So an example of this, when you see it, a 98%, what that means is that you have 98 out of 100. So 98 divided by 100 is 98%, okay? And the way we can write it 3 ways, and the 3 ways that we see it here is 1 with the percent sign, 1 as a fraction, and this is actually in words 98 per 100, and then the other way is to write it as a decimal, okay? And so we will be talking about decimals right now as well. A decimal is our counting system using base 10. So with decimal, because we live in America, we count by tens. And the tens are what determine where the decimal point sits. So something that can help us remember that is our place value chart. And you started learning about your place value chart clear back in kindergarten. So hopefully you can recognize this place value chart that I put on here. And here I have thousands, hundreds, tens, ones, and then I have a decimal point, which is really hard to see. So let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. So then we have the decimal point, and then to the right of the decimal point, we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and 10,000ths. And so when I was teaching 1st grade, yes, I taught 1st grade for a long time, one of the things that I reminded all my students is that when it's a decimal, you have to have th at the end because that means it's part of a whole, okay? And so this is our place value chart that includes decimals, all right? Then the third thing that you have to remember and that you have to know is what a fraction is, okay? Fractions are part of a whole. So that means that you don't have the entire piece when you're working with fractions, you only have part of it. So an example of this is we have one whole box right here, but that whole box is broken into 4 equal pieces. And when it's broken into 4 equal pieces and 2 of them are colored in, the fraction of this picture would be I have 2 out of the 4 total shaded in or available. So this picture is representing 2/4. And 2/4 means 2 out of the 4 are shaded, okay? So again, we're working with a little bit of a review. Percent is actually per every 100, okay? Decimals are accounting systems that we use with base 10, and then fractions are parts of a whole, and they are shown usually by picture or by this fraction where you have a numerator and a denominator. Okay, so getting back to percents, because that's what this lesson is, we need to understand how all 3 things actually mean the exact same thing. And the reason why is we have 98%, which is the same as 0 and 98 hundredths, which is the same as 98 hundredths, okay? And it says right here that they are all the exact same thing because if you remember what percent means a number per 100. So this one says I have 98 hundredths. That's what this literally says when you have that symbol. This symbol right here, the percent symbol, all it means is you have a denominator of 100. So every time you see this symbol right here, you're actually thinking in your mind per 100. The number in front of it tells you what your numerator is. So this would be 98 hundredths. And then if you read this out loud, it says 0 and 98 hundredths, which is exactly the same thing as what we said over here. And then look at it. We already have it, 98 hundredths. So as you can see, all three of these things are saying the exact same thing. And remember, whenever you see the symbol, it means per 100, and then the number in front of it sits on top of 100. So you're literally talking about the same thing, and it's written in three different ways. Okay, so they are the exact same thing. So the cool thing that you need to remember is that percents and decimals and fractions are all related. They're just different ways to write them. So they are the exact same number, they just look in different forms. And that's what you have to remember, what the difference between a decimal, fraction, and a percent is. They are the exact same number, just written in different forms. Okay? All right. So I have one more page that I want you to go ahead and leave space for in your notes, because tomorrow in class we are going to make a flip book. And the flip book that we're going to make is really cool because it actually shows you how all three of these things are combined, and it shows you how to convert a fraction to a decimal and to a percent. And then we will do some extra practice with those when we get a chance to work with them. We'll finish the flip book first, and then we'll work on the practice. The practice is very, very, very similar to this, where they give you the number as a percent, and you have to turn it into a decimal and into a fraction. Or they give you it as a decimal, and you have to turn it into a percent and turn it into a fraction. Or they give it to you as a fraction, and your job is to turn it into a percent and turn it into a decimal. And so that's what the standard is asking us to do. So on the next page, leave room in your comp books because we're going to make it in class tomorrow. It is called the percent flip book. Okay? So going back to our goal, today we will work with percents, which we did. How do you convert a fraction to a decimal and to a percent? Well, I kind of showed you right down here how we do that. We'll go in more depth with it with the flip book. Okay? All right, kiddos, that's all I have for you in this lesson. Talk to you soon. Bye.